when a father's love changed everything. The hospital room felt cold that morning. Sarah Mitchell sat on the edge of the bed, her hands trembling as she clutched the thin blanket around her shoulders. She was 42 years old, a single mother of 2 teenage girls, and the lump in her breast had turned her world upside down. The surgery was scheduled for 9 a.m. Dr. Rebecca Chen had explained everything twice already, but Sarah's mind kept drifting to her daughters waiting at home, who would make their breakfast tomorrow, who would drive Emma to her piano lessons, who would help Lily with her college applications. The door opened, and Sarah looked up, expecting her nurse. Instead, a tall black man in his late 40s walked in, wearing surgical scrubs. His name badge read Dr. Marcus Washington, Chief of Surgery. Behind him stood 2 younger doctors and a medical student, all looking hurried and professional. "Miss Mitchell," Dr. Washington said, his voice crisp and businesslike, "I'm going to be performing your mastectomy this morning. Dr. Chen had a family emergency." Sarah's heart sank. She didn't know this man. She had trusted Dr. Chen. "I know this is unexpected," he continued, glancing at his watch, "but I've reviewed your case thoroughly. The procedure should take about 3 hours. Do you have any questions?" Sarah opened her mouth, but no words came out. Dr. Washington shifted his weight, clearly in a hurry. "Miss Mitchell, I have 2 more surgeries after yours. Please, just make it fast. Do you have any questions, or can we proceed?" The words hit Sarah like ice water. Just make it fast. As if her life, her fears, her daughters waiting at home were just items on a checklist. Tears began rolling down her cheeks, and she looked away, ashamed of her own vulnerability. The room fell silent. The other doctors exchanged uncomfortable glances. Then something unexpected happened. Dr. Washington stopped moving. He stood completely still for a long moment, staring at Sarah's tearful face. Then slowly he turned to the other doctors. "Give us the room, please." "But Dr. Washington, we're already behind schedule." "I said give us the room." His voice was quiet but firm. The other doctors filed out, closing the door behind them. Dr. Washington pulled up a chair and sat down across from Sarah. Then he did something that surprised her even more. He took off his white coat and draped it over the chair. Underneath he was just a man in scrubs, no longer the intimidating chief of surgery. "Miss Mitchell," he said softly, "I owe you an apology. That was cruel of me." Sarah wiped her eyes, confused by this sudden change. "I'm going to tell you something I don't usually share," he continued, his voice gentle now, warm even. 12 years ago I was a single father with a 6-year-old son named Jordan. My wife had died in a car accident 6 months earlier." He paused, and Sarah saw pain flicker across his face. "One night Jordan had a terrible fever. I rushed him to the emergency room, terrified out of my mind. The doctor who saw us was rushed, overwhelmed. He barely looked at Jordan before prescribing antibiotics and sending us home." Sarah listened, her own tears momentarily forgotten. "That night, Jordan got worse. I brought him back and we saw a different doctor, a woman named Dr. Patricia Moore. She sat with us for an hour. She held Jordan's hand while she examined him. She talked to him about his favorite cartoons. And she found what the first doctor had missed. A serious infection that required immediate treatment. Dr. Washington's eyes met Sarah's. "Dr. Moore saved my son's life that night. But more than that, she reminded me why I became a doctor in the first place. Not to check boxes on a schedule, not to rush through procedures, but to care for human beings in their most vulnerable moments." He leaned forward, his elbows on his knees. "Miss Mitchell, I'm going to ask you those questions again. And this time, I want you to tell me everything, every fear, every concern, every question. We have all the time you need." Something broke open in Sarah's chest. "I'm terrified," she whispered. "That's completely normal. My daughters, they're only 15 and 17. What if something goes wrong? What if I don't wake up? Have you made arrangements for someone to be with them during the surgery?" "My sister is with them now." "But they're so scared." "I'm all they have," Dr. Washington nodded slowly. "My son is 18 now, starting college next fall. For years it was just him and me. I understand that bond, that responsibility, that fear of leaving them alone." They talked for 20 minutes, Dr. Washington explained, every step of the procedure in terms Sarah could understand. He told her about his success rate, about the recovery process, about what she could expect in the weeks ahead. But more than the medical facts, he gave her something more precious. He gave her his presence, his full attention, his humanity. "You're going to wake up," he said firmly, "and your daughters are going to need you to be strong during recovery. It won't be easy, but you're going to make it through this. I promise you. I will take care of you as if you were my own family." When the nurses came to prep Sarah for surgery, she felt different, still scared, but no longer alone. As they wheeled her toward the operating room, Dr. Washington walked beside her gurney. "Dr. Washington," Sarah said quietly. "Yes? Thank you for taking off your jacket." He smiled, a real smile that reached his eyes. "Thank you for reminding me why I put it on in the first place. The surgery took 4 hours, not 3. Dr. Washington took his time, making sure everything was perfect." When Sarah woke up in recovery, groggy and sore, the first face she saw was his. "You did beautifully," he said. "Everything went exactly as planned. My daughters, your sister brought them. They're in the waiting room. I'll have the nurses bring them in shortly." But he didn't leave. He stayed another 10 minutes, checking her vitals himself, adjusting her pillows, making sure she was comfortable. Over the next few days, as Sarah recovered in the hospital, Dr. Washington checked on her every morning and evening, not quick, rushed visits, but real check-ins. He asked about her daughters. He listened when she worried about medical bills. He even stayed late one evening to explain the pathology report in detail, answering every single question she had. On the day Sarah was discharged, Dr. Washington came by her room one final time. "I want you to know something," he said. "That moment when you cried, when I saw the fear in your eyes, that changed me. Or maybe it reminded me of who I used to be, who I should always be. You're an extraordinary doctor," Sarah said. "I'm a better doctor because of patients like you. Patients who remind me that behind every case file, every scheduled surgery, every item on my checklist, there's a human being with a story, with a family, with fears and hopes and dreams." 6 months later, Sarah was cancer-free. Her daughters had helped her through recovery with a maturity that made her proud. Life slowly returned to normal, or a new version of normal. One afternoon, Sarah returned to the hospital for a follow-up AP appointment. As she walked through the lobby, she saw Dr. Washington talking to a young woman in a wheelchair. He was sitting at her level, holding her hand, speaking to her with the same gentle attention he had given Sarah. The woman was crying, and Dr. Washington pulled out a tissue, waiting patiently while she composed herself. Sarah smiled and walked on. She understood now that what had happened in her hospital room that morning wasn't unique. Dr. Washington had learned a lesson 12 years ago from Dr. Patricia Moore, and now he was passing that lesson forward, one patient at a time. Sometimes the greatest act of healing isn't in the precision of the surgery. It's in the simple choice to slow down, to remove the armor of professional distance, to sit with another person's fear and say, "I see you, I hear you, you matter." That morning, a rushed surgeon had walked into Sarah's room, but a compassionate human being had saved her life. Thank you so much for listening to this story. If it touched your heart, please give it a like and share it with someone who might need to hear it today. Subscribe for more stories that remind us of the goodness in people, and leave a comment below. I'd love to hear about a time when someone showed you unexpected kindness. Your stories inspire me to keep sharing these moments of grace.